He said nothing. And maybe that was the biggest mistake. James Charles is no stranger to controversy, but this time, it's not just another online spat or a cringy apology video. This time, the silence is deafening. While his fanbase is rapidly shifting to a new, younger audience that wasn't around during his previous scandals, those who remember are now asking, why is this happening again? How did someone so publicly canceled keep finding a way back, only to end up right where he started? And now, it's all unraveling. Again, absolutely. Below is an expanded version of sections 1-8 with full context, added nuance, and pacing designed for retention. The tone remains conversational, mysterious, and investigative, optimized for a YouTube voiceover or narration. When James Charles started quietly showing up again in algorithm feeds, TikTok transformations, lighthearted memes, occasional glam looks, people noticed, but nobody really asked why. Maybe they were just tired. Maybe they didn't remember. After nearly 2 years of controversies ranging from inappropriate messaging allegations to high-profile influencer fallouts, James had gone nearly silent. His YouTube uploads slowed. Brands kept their distance. Public sentiment was cold. But then, something shifted. He returned, not with an apology or a redemption arc, but with Painted by James Charles, a makeup brand that boldly carried his name. Launch videos were bubbly, full of color and catchphrases. His tone, light, flirty, familiar. But the most striking thing wasn't the brand, it was the audience. The comments were full of kids, new fans, people who weren't even teenagers when James was getting canceled on YouTube. This fresh wave of followers didn't seem to know or care about what happened in 2021. Wait, why did he get in trouble again? I actually like him now. He's so funny, LOL. Why is everyone hating? He's literally just doing makeup. And that silence, it was working. Until a name surfaced, a name tied to someone else's trauma, and James's past started catching. Up to his present. Enter Kayla Malec, a rising TikTok star with a modest but loyal following. Known for her candid takes, bold aesthetics, and vulnerable videos, Kayla had been off the radar for a while. And then, suddenly, she wasn't. In a raw, emotional video, she told her story about her ex-boyfriend, Evan Johnson. She didn't hold back. She described emotional manipulation, mental abuse, and an intensely toxic dynamic that left her anxious, confused, and hurt. The video spread fast, not because it was clickbait, but because it felt real. People resonated with her honesty. The internet did what it always does in moments like these. They found Evan, they found receipts. They listened to Kayla. She had support. But then, the plot twisted. Because right in the middle of this story, sitting quietly behind the scenes, was James Charles. Kayla had mentioned that a friend knew what happened, that he was aware of how Evan had treated her, that this friend was supposed to have her back. She never named him, but others did. It didn't take long for the details to surface. That friend was James Charles, and his connection to Evan, a whole lot deeper than anyone expected. Zach, another content creator and former friend of Evan, released a video that dropped like a bomb. He said that while Kayla was processing a toxic breakup, James had been talking to Evan, and not just talking, flying him out, housing him, allegedly romantically involved with him. Zach claimed that James knew the full story, Kayla had confided in him, and still, James went behind her back, and when Zach tried to speak up, he said James tried to shut it down. According to him, James was more worried about being dragged into drama than standing by someone who had been hurt. It looked less like ignorance and more like indifference. The silence from James grew louder, no clarification, no denial. And that's when old fans who remembered 2019, 2020, 2021, started resurfacing because this wasn't new. This is where it stops feeling like a misunderstanding and starts feeling calculated. Months before any of this was public, before Kayla had even posted her video, she allegedly had a conversation with James. She told him about her breakup with Evan and gave details about what she had experienced. James's response, "So, can I have him now?" It sounds fake. A dark joke. Something you'd never say if your friend was telling you she'd been manipulated and emotionally hurt. But Kayla says it wasn't a joke, or if it was, it wasn't funny, and soon after she found out he wasn't kidding. James had allegedly invited Evan into his life, let him stay at his home, spent time with him, all while still calling Kayla a friend. Whether it was romantic or platonic, the facts stayed the same. He had knowledge of what Evan had done, and he chose to pursue him anyway. The more people looked, the more questions they found. Zach, in his video, revealed another disturbing layer. He said James was using Instagram's vanish mode, the auto-deleting chat setting designed to erase messages once viewed. Not occasionally, routinely. According to Zach, James and Evan were in near daily communication, not on regular DMs, not in public, but in vanish mode. Hidden, secret, undocumented. Zach said he saw it himself. He claimed he witnessed James send images, private messages, and flirty chats, all set to disappear, and this was happening while Kayla was dealing with the fallout of her relationship, while she was publicly discussing her trauma. While fans believed James was still supporting her, instead, he was allegedly enabling the very person she'd been hurt by. And behind the scenes, James was covering his tracks, one disappearing, message at a time. When Zach's allegations went viral, James reportedly reached out in private, not to apologize, but to control the damage. He allegedly told Zach that Evan manipulated him, that he didn't know how bad it was, that once he did. No, he cut off contact, but timelines didn't match. Screenshots told a different story, and fans were quick to ask, if Evan was so manipulative, why keep talking to him? Why bring him into your home? Why support him publicly and privately? Worse, James allegedly tried to flip the narrative, saying Zach had no right to speak publicly about him, trying to discredit the very people who were close enough to know what really happened. It felt familiar. The blame shift, the selective remorse. Say just enough to confuse people, but not enough to be accountable. At this point, it's not even about Evan, it's about James. Because this story, the confusion, the blurred lines, the messages in vanish mode, the relationships with younger or emotionally vulnerable people, it's all been done before. By him. In 2019, the Tati Westbrook feud. In 2020, the grooming allegations, the public apologies, the taking accountability videos, the disappearances and reappearances. Each time there's a cycle, a scandal emerges. James posts an apology or goes silent. He rebrands. His audience forgets. It happens again. Except now, his audience is mostly under 18. They weren't around for the last scandals. They don't know the pattern. They just see a charismatic influencer doing makeup and cracking jokes. And James? He's betting on their short memory. This situation isn't just messy, it's revealing. It shows how influence protects people, how silence lets narratives die, how an entire community can be gaslit into thinking something is not a big deal. James had the power to stand with Kayla, to use his voice to support a victim, to show that the past changed him. Instead, he allegedly used that power to stay close to someone accused of abuse. He prioritized personal interest, and when he got called out, he said he was the one manipulated. This isn't about one incident. It's about a pattern of behavior and a refusal to take real accountability. And now, the people calling him out aren't just critics or random fans. They're people who once trusted him, people he hurt. This time, the scandal has a new cast, but the script feels eerily familiar. So here we are. James Charles, once again, at the center of controversy. Only this time, the people calling him out aren't strangers on the internet. They're former friends, fellow influencers, and people who used to trust him. Maybe he thought staying quiet would make it go away. Maybe he believed a rebrand and a few viral TikToks would erase the past. But the internet doesn't forget. And this time, his new audience, they're starting to learn what the old one already knew. The truth always finds its way back, and this time, it might just stick. What do you think? Is this finally the end of James Charles, or we'll find a way to get out of it like usual? If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, be